Expeditionary Security Group 2. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedules to be here today as we bid farewell to a trusted shipmate. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the Commander of Maritime Expeditionary Security Group 2, Commodore Paul McElroy.
Great job on the national anthem, Melissa. I'm sorry, Mel. Welcome, family, friends, and shipmates of Master Chief Shiver, as well as sailors of MESG-2. We're here to celebrate our Command Master Chief's 30 years of service in the United States Navy. Hard to believe, isn't it? To the Master Chief's family, I'd like to welcome wife Liz of 11 years, son Will, over here, who has recently performed some service in Iraq. Appreciate your service, Will. And Erica, son Stephen, daughter Melissa, who sang the national anthem with brand new granddaughter Marley. I think we hear her right now. And daughter Melanie also. Welcome. And thank you all for your sacrifice during Master Chief's career. I know you've had some long deployments, a lot of duty days, weekends, or duty weekends, travel, not to mention some long work hours on some of those ships you've been on. It's really my honor to speak at Master Chief Shiver's retirement ceremony. Not only has he worked with me, for me, as a Command Master Chief here at MESG-2, but I also served with him on the USS Astosian, FFG-15, way back in the 90s. Master Chief did a fantastic job then as a brand new chief. That was a NRF ship, which is a Naval Reserve frigate, and we really minimally manned. We talk about minimum manning now, but back then we really were minimally manned. I think you were probably acting as the EMO at the time, as the ETC pretty much, and I know we relied on it. I was better known as Ops back then, Lieutenant McElroy. But he's done a tremendous job here, capping off a 30-year career serving in the highest enlisted pay grade that the Navy has. It's not easy to become a Master Chief, as most of you know. The pay grade was created in 1958 and is the highest enlisted pay grade in the Navy. Not only that, but it's even tougher to become a Command Master Chief. Some of you know a special screening is conducted to pick only the best Master Chiefs in the Navy to become our Command Master Chiefs. And we picked them to be the special advisor to the commanding officer on enlisted matters. In reality, though, he and the position are much more. He's a confidant and a sounding board to me. He's also the leader of the CPO mess, a mentor to the sailors, etc. You get the picture. Bottom line, he's indispensable to this command. And but now you may ask yourself, how did he get here? Well, if you read his biography, he's been on an oiler. He's been stationed in the PI, Philippines. He became a TAR way back in '88, which is a reserve management assignment. He was on the USS Boulder, which was a reserve LST, USS Astosian, where I served with him. He was on the Reserve Forces staff, an MCS, USS Incheon, which was one of our, actually it used to be a LPH, and then was converted to a mine command ship. He was at SEMA, a NOSC, and then here at MESG-2, just to name a few. But I asked Master Chief the other day, what was your toughest deployment, Master Chief? And he said, tongue-in-cheek, 1994 on board the USS Astosian. Well, I happened to be on that deployment, Master Chief. As I said, he was a chief, I was a lieutenant. And the deployment he's talking about was a Great Lakes cruise. So that lasted from May to September during the summer months. A cruise where we were never underway more than one night. Embarked in more ports than any cruise I've ever been on. Included more free food, free drink, etc. than you can ever imagine. And there's also a cruise where you and others return with a better golf handicap than when you.
You make a sacrifice.
I can see why you tell Liz that was your toughest cruise, but I just can't do it. Although that was one of the better cruises or deployments that we've had. I actually am embarrassed that we got a sea service deployment ribbon out of that. I tell people that the ship pulled into the Betty Ford Clinic before we returned. There were some times on the station when things weren't so good, and they were a little tougher. When Operations Department, the Combat Systems Department got the Engineering Department through OPI, basically painting out the entire main spaces and office spaces of the whole ship, conducting counter-drug operations, and other deployments that Master Chief was on the Inchon doing a Westpac, where he was separating from his family, etc. Therefore, in all seriousness, Master Chief has been a tremendous asset to the U.S. Navy. He served with distinction for a 30-year career that spanned the Cold War in the 80s, the first Gulf War in the 90s, and the second Gulf War and the war on terrorism that we still conduct today. He served his nation proudly, and we thank him for his service, his sacrifice, and his leadership. You may be retiring, Master Chief, but you have a legacy of sailors that you have trained and mentored. They and we will all carry on and keep the fire and your inspiration burning for present and future generations in the Navy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Before we move on with this morning's ceremony, there is one person here that deserves special recognition for being an important part of the Navy and for putting up with Zach. Liz, as far as I know, you never raised your right hand and said, "I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States." But when you married Zach and said, "I do," you did enlist for, as they say, toughest job in the Navy. You made a commitment to Zach, a commitment to the Navy, and a commitment to our country. Serving as a Navy spouse is not an easy task. It's difficult for sailors to understand the commitment and sacrifices made by our families, but we certainly appreciate and we respect them. Through good times and bad, your support at home made it possible for Zach to give his country 100%. We would now like to take this opportunity to show you our appreciation for your steadfast support and commitment to our country and to your husband, Zach. Command Master Chief Shiver, front and center. Chief Wujcik, please escort Liz to join her husband. Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Navy. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. To Liz Shiver, by the authority vested in me, it is my pleasure to express the grateful appreciation of the United States Navy to you for your unselfish, patriotic, and devoted service during your husband's military career. Your unfailing support and understanding helped immeasurably make possible his lasting contribution to the nation. To those who say a single person cannot make a difference, I say wrong. Your husband did. He made our Navy stronger and kept our nation safe. With his service to the Navy now complete, he will be able to spend more time with you in the future. The United States Navy thanks you, and I thank you. Given this 24th day of November 2010, Paul L. McElroy, Commander, Maritime Expeditionary Security Group 2. Master Chief's children are also with us today. Chief Wujcik, please escort Melissa, Melanie, and Stephen Lee to join their father.
You stay down the back.